It's Quaran-time, and our guest, Anthony Martin. He's the Assistant Director of Facilities and Event Management in the Queens Department of Athletics. He works under Senior Associate Athletic Director Randall Goebel. There's a lot of responsibility in that job. Anthony, welcome.
What it do? How you doing?
I jokingly call you the mayor of the Levine Center. That is because you are one of the more outgoing and just fun personalities to be around, always laughing, always smiling. Your work and your efforts have been noticed. You are a 2020 recipient of the Staff Appreciation Recognition Award. That's an internal award that goes to only a handful of folks every year at Queens University of Charlotte, not just in athletics, but also on the academic side of campus. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Your efforts have been noticed. And for those Queens fans who don't necessarily see what happens behind the scenes, maybe they come to games, maybe they watch the broadcasts, I don't know that they truly grasp just how much work goes in from some members of the support staff behind the scenes. And you and your direct report, Randall, and the facilities and events management staff are at the core of that. So this is an opportunity to shed some light on you and a conversation that I'm really looking forward to. So thanks for taking a few minutes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Phil. I appreciate it. You make me sound so wonderful.
Well, the Levine Center, being at the small college level, the Levine Center is a multi-purpose facility. And the average fan does not realize just how many transitions need to be made for a practice day to a game day. And sometimes they happen at the same day. So there are 3 courts, and all the both basketball teams, a volleyball team, a wrestling team may be practicing. And then at 7 p.m., volleyball match, everyone has to clear out, the bleachers have to come out, the walls that divide the practice courts have to go in. So what exactly gets done for you on an average game day when you're transitioning the Levine Center from a practice facility into a game day facility to host a college athletics event?
Well, on an average day, I would say starting at 5 p.m., if there's a game at 7, we shut down the courts. All practices are done. Sometimes I'll let them stay on the center court because that court is mainly used, and all we need are the side courts. And I have a staff of student workers that I truly appreciate. They come in and they do all the heavy lifting. Yeah. And we had about 15 this semester, and they did a wonderful job with us, working with me as well. And what we do is we pull out the bleachers, pull out the basketball goals, and we just make it happen.
Yeah, and that's hard physical labor too. I mean, pushing the basketball goals in and out. The Levine Center, they're the traditional baskets with an actual stanchion on the ground. Yes. They're not what you might see in some Division II gyms where the baskets flip up and down, more like a high school gymnasium from the ceiling. So that is hard physical labor.
Yes. It weighs about 1,500 pounds.
Wow.
They're based on the wheels, and we have about 3 or 4 individuals pushing those goals at one time.
Yeah, that's not a one-person job.
Well, Randall and I have done it by ourselves.
That comes
occasionally we'll do it, but we love the support.
Your life story, I actually think, is pretty interesting because in the conversations you and I have had, it's occurred to me that I don't think you ever expected yourself to work in college athletics. Your path to college athletics, very different than most. As a broadcaster, I know you got to go through the high school ranks, the college ranks, to ultimately get to professional ranks and others. That's not necessarily the path you took, and maybe the path that facilities and events management takes. So let's start with life growing up. You grew up in California in the Monterey area, correct?
Yes, I did. I was born in Eden, North Carolina, right outside of Greensboro.
Okay.
Father was in the military. He took his whole entire family all over the world, Germany. But I ended up living in Monterey, I would say about 8 years of my life. The prime 8 years from grade school to high school, I lived in Monterey.
Where else did you live if your father moved the family all over.
Germany. I lived in Germany twice. I've lived in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and I've lived Fort Benning, Georgia.
Interesting. And you followed suit. You joined the military as well and were a member of the United States Marine Corps.
United States Marine Corps, I did. 93 to 95.
And you fought on the tail end in
93 to 98. I'm sorry, 98.
So 5 years.
5 years.
And you fought in Desert Storm at the tail end of it.
I was at the tail end of Desert Storm in 90, yes.
Where were you stationed?
Well, what we did was we went to Kuwait. We cleaned up everything. So when you go over there, you leave a lot of equipment and all of that stuff there. So we went over there, cleaned up, made sure everything was packed up, and then we came back.
Okay. So you didn't have to go too far into danger.
No. I wasn't too far into. Now they had, mortars still out there, or little small skirmishes, little small firefights, but it wasn't anything that was outrageously huge of what's going on now.
So there were times though where you had to immediately seek shelter.
Yes.
Where maybe your life could have been in danger.
Mortar fire, yes.
Huh. I can't imagine what that experience is like.
Well, you get adjusted to it after the first round.
After the military life, time goes on. You're in your career. You're working with Sodexo, which is a food services and facilities management company. They contract with Queens and plenty of other colleges around the country. And so that's how you actually landed working at Queens. Is that correct?
At Queens, yes, as a driver.
So you were a driver with Sodexo, drove for a bunch of the athletic teams, right?
I exclusively drove Sodexo to drive for the athletic team, and I stayed with them mainly golf, volleyball, softball. We did about a couple of trips for basketball, but mainly the sports that were really smaller.
Okay. And you did that for how many years?
3 years.
And then at some point there, you're a huge golf fan. And I think this goes back to your childhood growing up just a few miles from Pebble Beach and the conversations that we've had. Somewhere in there, your golf knowledge, expertise, and your golf ability landed you an assistant coaching gig with head coach Sam Puryear at the time. So How exactly did you end up going from driver with Sodexo to an internal member of the athletic department staff as an assistant coach with the golf program?
Gotcha. So that ended up, the coach that was there, she decided to move and go somewhere else during the semester. So I finished off that semester with the girls. They said, you know what, Anthony can take him. He's been with them a very long time, coaching them. Because I was a volunteer coach for the first year before I became an assistant coach. Okay. I would go mainly with the girls, and I would stay with them with the coach prior that was there before, and she would just let me go off with the girls and say, hey, coach them. This is our game plan. This is what we're going to do. Yeah. Coach Puryear was like, okay, Anthony, come with the guys. You can take some of the guys. We'll just start grooming you to be a coach. And I'm like, oh, that'd be great. No problem. I've never expected to become an assistant coach at all. I just enjoyed going out with them, taking pictures, talking about golf.
Yeah. So your golf game's pretty good. What's your handicap?
Right now, Phil, you done played golf with me now. Come on. When I get hungry, it goes downhill. But right now, I'm sitting at a 7.
A 7, okay. But I've played with you, and I've watched you on tough courses such as Irish Creek and Kannapolis, where the Queens men's team, hosts a tournament every year. I've watched you shoot less than 80 on that course. That is not an easy course. That is a course that has been used for Corn Ferry Tour qualifying before. Yes. And I've watched you. It's hosted many collegiate events, obviously. I've watched you shoot less than 80. So you have some game.
Got a little bit.
You still occasionally compete competitively because you were gearing up for the city amateur
every year.
Last year. Every year.
Every year. I'm gearing up for it this year.
How have you fared in that tournament?
I missed the cut. The highest I did was I missed the cut by 2. The cut was 76.
Okay.
I missed it by 2.
Okay.
That's the closest I've gotten. And it's on my home course at Pine Island, so it's kind of rough. It really upsets me. Maybe the nerves get involved, and I know I'm about to make it, and then I don't. So I'm going to do it every single year until I make it.
But your game is pretty good. You understand the game. So maybe it's not that far-fetched. You were driving for the team. You built some relationships, and then you become an assistant coach in the Department of Athletics.
Gotcha.
When did you first fall in love with the game of golf that allowed you to develop a skill that would be better than most amateurs?
That's a great question, Phil. You know, I've never thought about that. I think it was, I played golf with my father since I was around the age of 12. I just kept continually playing, and it was something I guess I really gravitated towards when I got out of the Corps, and I just started playing more golf. And that was in the 90s. So I would say when I moved to Charlotte in 1998, that's when the golf bug hit me. Yeah. So I've been, for 20 years.
A lot of good courses around here to kill your time.
That's right. Every single day.
Lowest round you've ever recorded?
Lowest round I ever recorded was a 72. And it was with
That's pretty good.
It was 72. I think it was with my girls. We played Rain Tree. I think it was 72. I shot a 72 with the girls.
Okay, you started to tell.
It was with Taylor and Grace. Taylor Pinzer, Grace Glaze.
You started to tell the story about the first time we played. So let's share this story.
You want to hear the story because
I'll tell it. I tell it or you tell it?
I'll tell it.
I'll tell my perspective of the story.
Tell your perspective first.
So this was, I think, the fall of 2017, shortly after the Queen's Invitational that the men host every year at Irish Creek. It was the first time we broadcasted the event. Mm-hmm. And while we were at the event, killing time in between groups, you and I basically came to an agreement. We are playing Irish Creek this week.
Yes.
I know everything there is to know about the first 3 holes from broadcasting it. I need to see the rest of the course, and I want to actually get out and play the course. And I'd said to you all week, I haven't touched my clubs in I don't know how long. It's been a couple of months since the middle of the summer. You know, this is October by now. I haven't touched my clubs. No idea how my game will be. So you and I one day, I think we skipped out of the office on a weekday. We decide we're driving up to Kannapolis to go play at Irish Creek. Next thing you know, I'm balling out. I think I'm beating you through 12 holes. We get to the 12th tee box. You go, I'm hungry. Turn around the cart to the clubhouse. I thought we were going to go back out to the 12th fairway after I hit my tee shot. I don't even think I got a chance to pick up the ball.
Yeah.
And you start packing up your clubs and leave.
Packing up and rolling. Well, that's your version. Here's my version. I was winning through 9. And then all of a sudden, I got hungry. And we got behind this group low. And then you birdied 11. You parred 12. And I think you was going in on the bird for 13. And then I said, you know what? I'm not going to let Phil beat me. I'm hungry. And they're up there waiting. They're taking too long, Phil. Let's go back, and we'll end it and come back and do it. I'm a sore loser, Phil. I'm not going to let you beat me.
You forgot the part of the story where the last tee box that we were on, you pulled 1 left, pushed 1 right, hit 2 drives out of play.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know what, Phil? I'm going to tell you something. Your game was good. You had your driving iron. Your mini driver.
The mini driver, because I can't hit my driver. Yeah.
He was going at it. Your game is good. You got to practice a little bit. You'll be all right.
If only I could do that.
Don't forget about when we played in we played in the Queen's tournament. It was me, you. What was the gentleman's name?
Couple of media.
Yes, the media company. Yes.
Yeah. Rob Hughes. Yeah.
We had a great time.
We got to about 12, 13 under. We had a good group.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then everybody started penciling in their scores. So when we get to the clubhouse, we're not winning. It's okay.
Yeah. So you're a golf coach. Coolest thing about coaching, because again, you said this before, you never expected to ever be a collegiate coach at any point in your life. So coolest thing about coaching golf at Queens was what? What was the best moment?
Coolest thing about coaching golf at Queens, I would say, it's the kids. You see them come in as a freshman. You see them leave as an adult, as a senior. Just the personality, different individuals that you're dealing with and how you have to deal with them. You gravitate toward them. You treat them like their family, and you want the best for them. So I think the coolest thing is definitely the athletes, the travel. We get to go and play different courses that I've never seen before. I think that's the coolest thing.
Is there a best moment though? Because there were a couple of conference championship victories.
Yes.
While you were on the coaching staff. I know you still remain very close with both Andy Serketich and Megan Bunker, the two coaches now.
Yes.
And you kind of remain pretty close with the student athletes on the golf team. So for you, it was rewarding when the men's team won the conference championship last year.
Heck yeah.
But was there a moment that just made the experience for you?
I think my best moment that I had was when Grace Glaze on the 18th hole made a putt to win the conference championship. And that made us win the conference championship as a team, and she won it as an individual.
Wow.
Just hugging her at the end of the thing was like, she said, "Did I win?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you won." And she was like, "I didn't win." I said, "You won." And then we hugged. And, her family was saying, "Oh, man, you did a great job. The school is awesome." I mean, I think that's the best thing.
What year was that?
I think that's the best thing. When the parents come in and it's like they're happy for you, for the school, for the students, for the game, it's just awesome.
What year was that?
I think it was 2012.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's 2012. No. Yes.
That sounds right. Right. There was a conference
12 or
championship.
13.
Yeah. Okay. So you transitioned from golf coach to athletic facilities.
Yes.
I mean, you're no longer working at Sodexo. Now you're full-fledged Queens. How did that come about?
Well, it was a transition.
Mm-hmm.
The director of golf left, and Sherry came to me and was like, "You know what? We want to keep you. We're going to go in a different direction for the golf program, but we want to keep you aboard because we love how you interact with the kids. We love how you treat everybody. So we want to keep you." I was like, "Great, no problem. What you need me to do? I'm a team player."
Yeah.
She said, "We're going to have a smooth transition. We're going to transition you into facilities with Randall." I was like, "Well, I previously worked for Randall, doing different games, running the clock, setting up." And he was just like, "It's going to be the same thing, Anthony. Come on, let's make it happen." I was like, "Great, no problem."
And there have been rewarding moments since. You've been, for the last 3 full seasons now, you've been essentially overseeing the Levine Center. That's been the responsibility specifically handed to you. So you roll in the goals, you roll out the bleachers, you make sure that operationally everything at the table is working correctly for a basketball game, a volleyball game, a wrestling match, whomever would be competing in the gym.
Yes.
There have been some big tournaments held. There have been some outside events held. I'm trying to think, for facility staff, what would be a great moment that you've experienced since? I would have to think that men's basketball, the 2019 regional championship,
yes.
The team winning that was 1,600 fans in the crowd screaming at the top of their lungs, had to be near the top. NBA players and teams, the NBA as a league came in to use the facility during All-Star weekend. So has there been a moment for you in this career that has been unexpected, that you never thought you'd work in college athletics, either as a coach or on an administrative staff? is there an experience for you that specifically stands out?
I would say when my experience is every last single game, when somebody leaves and they can say it was a great game, my job is done, because they're not saying the facilities is awful, the trash was run over, the tables and the chairs were awful, everything was out of place. When a fan sits there and says this was a great game, when they talk about the game when they leave, that's when I take pride. I don't like it when somebody says the bathrooms were dirty, or I didn't have a great seat, or it was just, facilities wise. If somebody says something about the facilities and not the game, I didn't do my job.
It reminds me about kind of like broadcasting. If they talk about the broadcaster, usually it's because it wasn't good.
Yes.
So you really don't do it to seek out your own personal attention.
Not at all.
Good. They don't say anything about you.
And when they say, man, I tell you what, Phil had a great call. He captivated me. He kept me engaged.
It really stands out.
It stands out.
Yeah.
It stands out. And he didn't say Phil had a crack in his voice or his dog Bella was barking, but it said.
Believe it or not, we are this is like the 7th or 8th, I don't know, interview that we've recorded virtually during this quarantine time. Bella, who barks at everything, has barely barked during any of these. She may have growled at a noise out in the hallway once or twice. Yeah. She has not barked yet.
She's awesome. You're doing a wonderful job with her.
I've got a lot of time to work on it.
Yeah, you do.
Anthony Martin, he's the Assistant Director of Facilities and Events Management. We call him the mayor of the Levine Center because everybody knows him, everybody loves him. He's a 2020 recipient of the Staff Appreciation Recognition Award. Thanks for spending some Quaran-time with us, Anthony.
Phil, I really appreciate you. And I truly appreciate you doing these interviews and keeping everything moving and keeping people engaged. It is really awesome, man.
I'm glad to do it. I've had a lot of fun doing it. Hit him straight.
Hey, I got to. What do you do, Phil?
All right. Anthony Martin, you're the best.
Yes,
thank you.
I'll see you.